Yes, thank you, Antonio. Let me start, dear Donald, with commending the Polish presidency as it draws to a close. Your presidency was challenging, but you delivered. You closed 37 major legislative files and reached negotiation mandates on another 18. Those are impressive figures. You advanced support to Ukraine with agreements on our 16th and 17th sanctions packages and new tariffs on Russian and Belarusian goods. You pushed forward on temporary protection, showing to our continent the power of Polish generosity and solidarity. You helped fast-track the SAFE regulation and moved forward with the European Defence Industry Programme to make our common home stronger and safer. This was a focused, efficient presidency that laid the groundwork for Denmark as of July. So, Donald, thank you very much for your leadership and for your commitment to Europe today and always. This European Council came at an important time. It follows a series of key international meetings, the G7, the EU-Canada and NATO summits, and it takes place against the backdrop of serious geopolitical and geoeconomic volatility. So it's an important moment to take stock and coordinate our answers. First, we discussed Europe's defence. Together, we have come a long way since our European Council in March. Our Defence Readiness Plan 2030 sets out a roadmap. The Rearm Europe plan lays out the tools to deliver the necessary surge of investment. 16 member states have requested the activation of the National Escape Clause, and this will allow them a substantial increase of defence expenditure without triggering the excessive deficit procedure. And under your presidency, Donald, we agreed in no time to the SAFE regulation. 71 days. It's a record. It's fantastic. 10 member states have already signalled their intention to take up loans under SAFE, and I expect more to join. But it is not just about how much we are spending, but how we are spending. We're building a genuine EU-wide market for defence equipment with scale, with interoperability and efficiency at its core. This starts with removing the barriers and introducing simplification procedures. We have our Defence Readiness Omnibus proposal. It will enable fast-track permitting for defence industry, environmental derogations, and simplified state aid rules. Now we urgently need an agreement on this omnibus. Finally, we invest in Ukraine. SAFE loans will also allow procuring together with Ukraine and from Ukraine's defence industry. The stronger Ukraine becomes, the more it can defend itself against Russia's aggression, the better it is for all of us. And beyond our borders, we're building security and defence partnerships to achieve strategic depth. 8 so far, including Japan, South Korea, UK, Canada, and soon Australia. My second point is we discussed the situation in the Middle East. Europe welcomes the announcement of a ceasefire. It must be respected by all parties. Restoring stability in the region depends on it, and it depends as well as on Iran's readiness to return to a serious and credible diplomatic process. As you said, Iran must never obtain a nuclear bomb. The negotiating table remains the only viable path forward. At the same time, we cannot lose sight of the humanitarian situation in Gaza, which remains abhorrent and unbearable. Humanitarian aid needs to reach Gaza immediately and unimpeded, at speed and at scale. Europe will keep on calling for a sustainable ceasefire and the release of hostages, leading to a permanent end of hostilities. Third, we discussed Ukraine. President Zelensky joined us per video conference. We agreed to maintain our financial support to Ukraine on all fronts, military, economically and politically. Militarily, we recently allocated 1 billion euros to Ukraine's defense industry through the windfall profits from the frozen Russian assets. We are on track to reach the target of 2 million rounds of artillery for Ukraine in 2025. And we are ready to front-load the remaining 11 billion of the G7 loans, because we know how important it is now for Ukraine to ask for this money. Politically, we must keep up the pressure on Russia to engage in serious talks, starting with a real ceasefire, and therefore our 18th sanctions package aims to do that. We should be in a position to have an agreed package soon. At the same time, we are also accompanying Ukraine on its EU path. Under relentless fire, Ukraine is passing reform after reform. It's impressive. And this is why the Commission defends the opening of the first cluster of negotiation. Ukraine has delivered. Now we must too, because the accession process is based on merit, and Ukraine merits moving forward. Our last session on geoeconomics and competitiveness. I'm almost done. I briefed leaders on the current state of play in our trade talks with the United States. President Trump and I had a good discussion at the G7 summit in Canada. Back then, we agreed to speed up the work with a clear goal, an agreement before the 9th of July. Today, we received the latest US document for further negotiations. We are assessing it as we speak right now. So our message today is clear. We are ready for a deal. At the same time, we are preparing for the possibility that no satisfactory agreement is reached. This is why we consulted on a rebalancing list, and we will defend the European interest as needed. In short, all options remain on the table. To conclude, we had a productive summit at a decisive time, and the path onwards is clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pani Premierze.